All right, so let's jump into this whole TikTok ban thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild, right?
Yeah, it's a big one for sure.
It feels like everyone's talking about it.
Definitely a lot of buzz around this.
I mean,
Yeah.
can you imagine, like, just no more TikTok?
I mean, some people are dreading it.
Like, what would we even do with ourselves?
Right.
Like, I was just learning that new dance, the refrigerator shuffle.
Yeah, I saw that one.
It's pretty hard, I gotta say.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so we've got, like, a ton of info on this whole situation.
Yeah, we've got news articles, opinion pieces, social media posts, the whole 9 yards.
So let's just dive right in.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so, like, first off, just to be clear, what exactly is this ban all about?
Well, the big concern is that the Chinese government might be accessing data from American TikTok users, which is kind of creepy when you think about it.
Yeah, like, no thank you.
Right. Nobody wants their data ending up in the wrong hands.
Okay, so back in April, President Biden signed this law. That's basically telling ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, to sell off its U.S. operations.
Right. They've got until January 19th to do it.
January 19th.
Yep, that's the deadline.
That's like right around the corner.
It is. The clock is ticking.
Talk about pressure.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it seems like ByteDance isn't going down without a fight.
Oh, definitely not. They're fighting the ban in court.
Oh, wow.
They're saying it violates free speech.
Oh, interesting.
It's a complicated legal battle for sure.
Okay, so while all that's going on, you got to imagine the chaos among TikTok users.
Oh, absolutely. There are like 170 million of them in the U.S. alone.
170 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of people potentially losing their favorite app.
That's a lot of, like, dance challenges and funny cat videos just gone.
And it's not just about entertainment either.
Right.
For some people, TikTok is their livelihood.
That's how they make money, how they connect with people.
Exactly. It's a whole community.
So this ban could really impact a lot of lives.
It could. It's a big deal for a lot of people.
Okay, so let's talk about how users are actually reacting to all this.
Sure.
Because I've seen some pretty funny memes about it.
Oh, yeah. The memes have been top-notch.
Like people joking about learning Mandarin.
Uh-huh. Yep. As if that would help.
Right. Like, oh, I can now order dumplings in Chinese so the ban won't affect me.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But it also shows how, like, people are kind of in denial.
Yeah. At first, a lot of people thought the ban wouldn't actually happen.
Right. It was like, no way, they can't take away our TikTok.
Exactly. But as the deadline gets closer, reality is setting in.
So then came the anger.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of that.
Like, people were furious.
Understandably so.
Calling for boycotts of other platforms like Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, like, if you take away our TikTok, we're not going to use your apps either.
Right. Kind of a digital rebellion.
It was quite a sight to see.
And now we're seeing this mad dash to download content before it potentially disappears.
Yep. People are trying to save their favorite videos, archive everything.
It's like they're prepping for a digital hurricane.
Ha ha, that's a good analogy.
Right. Like batten down the hatches, the TikTok storm is coming.
Exactly. Grab your digital life rafts.
Okay, but here's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Some users, and this is kind of wild, are migrating to another Chinese app.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, Xiaohongshu, which is also known as Red.
Interesting choice.
Right. It's like out of the frying pan, into the fire, but the fire's in a different language.
Yeah, it's definitely ironic.
It is. So yeah, Hongshu is this popular lifestyle app in China.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mix of Instagram and Pinterest, but with a Chinese twist.
And it's suddenly been flooded with American users.
A lot of them are confused. A lot of them are curious.
Oh, I bet. Can you imagine the culture flash?
Oh, it's been epic. Trust me.
Like you've got Chinese users who are just baffled by this sudden influx of Americans.
They're like, where did all these people come from and why are they posting videos of their dogs doing yoga?
And then you've got Americans posting things like Winnie the Pooh, which is like banned in China.
Oh, yeah, that's a big no-no over there.
And they're getting blocked left and right.
It's a crash course in what's acceptable online in different cultures.
I saw one post where an American user was like, hey, can someone explain the difference between Chinese and Hong Kong law?
Wow, that's ambitious.
Right. Like, that's a whole law school course condensed into a social media post.
It's definitely a lot to unpack.
It is. But beyond the humor, this whole migration to Xiaohongshu highlights something really important.
What's that?
The huge differences in online cultures around the world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The internet isn't one big homogenous space.
Right. It's like different countries have different digital customs, different rules.
And different expectations about what's appropriate to share and how to behave.
Exactly. And navigating those differences can be tricky, even hilarious sometimes.
It can be. It's like traveling to a new country without a guidebook.
Right. And this whole TikTok ban is kind of forcing people to confront those differences head on.
It is. It's making people think about online censorship, content moderation, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just an app going away.
Exactly. It's raising some big questions about how we use the internet and who gets to control it.
Okay, so while we're pondering those deep thoughts, let's not forget about the money.
Oh, yes, the money.
Because someone's going to benefit from this whole TikTok mess, right?
Oh, absolutely. There are some big winners emerging.
Like who?
Well, Wall Street analysts are predicting a windfall for companies like Meta?
Meta. That's
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram, right?
Yep, exactly. They're seeing this as a huge opportunity.
I bet. And probably Snapchat and YouTube too, right?
Oh, for sure. They're all vying for those TikTok refugees.
It's like a digital land grab.
It is. They're all trying to lure those users over to their platforms.
And they're doing it with, like, new features and updates and all sorts of shiny things.
Yeah, they're pulling out all the stops.
So how much money are we talking about?
A lot. Meta's earnings could jump by as much as $3 per share.
Whoa, that's a lot.
It is. And Snapchat could see a revenue growth of up to 142%.
142%. That's crazy.
It is if they can capture even a fraction of TikTok's user base.
Okay, but here's my question.
Okay.
Can any of these platforms really replace TikTok?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right? Like, TikTok has this magic formula, this algorithm that just keeps people hooked.
It does. It's incredibly addictive.
And what about the creators who have, like, built their whole careers on TikTok?
Yeah, what happens to them?
They can't just, like, magically transfer their followers and their content to a new platform.
It's not that easy. They've built up a community, a brand.
Exactly. So it's not just about the technology. It's about the people, the culture.
Right. It's a whole ecosystem.
Okay, so just when you thought this whole saga couldn't get any weirder, guess what?
What?
President Trump might step in.
President Trump.
Yeah, he's hinted that he might try to intervene.
Oh, wow. This is getting interesting.
Right. Like he was all about banning TikTok during his previous presidency.
He was. He was very vocal about it.
And now there's speculation he might try to delay or even reverse the current ban.
That would be a major twist.
It would. It's like a political plot twist no one saw coming.
It is. It adds a whole new layer of complexity.
But is that even legally possible?
It's unclear. Some experts say he might be able to delay things.
But ultimately, it'll probably end up in court, right?
Yeah, most likely. It's going to be a legal battle.
So what we have here is a situation that's already chaotic.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess.
And now it's got this added layer of political uncertainty.
It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a roller coaster.
Exactly. So will TikTok survive? Will President Trump save the day?
Who knows? It's anyone's guess at this point.
Stay tuned, folks. This deep dive is just getting started.
So we're back and still trying to figure out what's going on with this whole TikTok ban.
It's like 1 minute it's all doom and gloom. The next minute there's a glimmer of hope.
And then President Trump throws in his 2 cents and it's like, back to square one.
Right. It's like trying to follow a recipe where the ingredients keep changing midway through.
It's a wild ride for sure, and we're not even at the finish line yet.
Okay, but before we get too lost in the political drama, let's talk about the people who are actually going to feel the effects of this ban.
Yeah, the creators, the businesses, the folks who built their empires on TikTok.
They're the ones who are facing the most uncertainty right now.
It's got to be tough spending years building something up only to have it potentially pulled out from under you.
Imagine, like, you're a full-time TikTok creator.
Right.
You're making a living, you've got a loyal following, and then boom, it's all gone.
It's like having the rug pulled out from under you.
Yeah. And for some, it's not just about the money.
Right. It's about the community, the sense of belonging.
TikTok has become this space where people can be themselves, connect with others who share their interests.
It's a place where they can express their creativity, find their voice.
So losing that space would be a huge loss for a lot of people.
It would. It goes beyond just losing an app. It's about losing a part of yourself.
And it makes you think about how, like, technology isn't just about the gadgets and the algorithms.
Right.
It's about the human connections we make through those tools.
Exactly. It's about how we use technology to communicate, to share, to create.
And this whole TikTok situation is a reminder that those connections, those spaces we create online, can be fragile.
They can be disrupted by things outside of our control.
Whether it's government regulations, political decisions, or just the ever-changing nature of the digital landscape.
It's like realizing your favorite online hangout spot is suddenly closing down.
Yeah, and you're left wondering where everyone's going to go next.
Right, and if it'll ever feel the same.
So the million-dollar question is, will TikTok actually go away?
It's hard to say. It really depends on how all these legal and political battles play out.
Yeah, it's like trying to predict the weather a year from now.
There are so many factors at play. It's impossible to know for sure.
But hey, maybe there's a chance it'll pull off a miraculous comeback.
Stranger things have happened.
Remember that whole thing with Mr. Beast?
The YouTuber?
Yeah, he claimed he was trying to get a bunch of billionaires together to buy TikTok.
I remember that. It was quite ambitious.
It was. It showed just how much people love TikTok, how much they're willing to fight for it.
It did. It was a testament to the power of the TikTok community.
And that's what makes this whole story so compelling.
It's not just about an app. It's about the people, the passions, the connections.
It's a reminder that the digital world is just as real, just as impactful as the physical world.
It is. What happens online has real-world consequences.
And we're seeing that play out right now with TikTok.
It's a pivotal moment in the evolution of social media, and it's fascinating to watch it unfold.
It is. Okay, so let's switch gears a bit and talk about Xiaohongshu.
Red, the Chinese app that's become the unlikely refuge for some TikTok users.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how American users are adapting to this new platform.
It's like they've been dropped into a whole new digital culture.
And they're trying to figure out the rules, the customs, the language.
It's a steep learning curve, for sure.
I saw some posts where people were basically like, help, I'm lost in translation.
Haha, yeah, the language barrier has been a major challenge for some.
They're relying on translation apps that are about as accurate as a random number generator.
It's led to some hilarious misunderstandings.
Oh, I bet. I saw one where someone was trying to say, I love your style. And the translation app turned it into, your clothes look like they were designed by a blindfolded monkey.
Oh no, that's terrible, but also kind of funny.
It is. It just shows how much language matters in communication.
It does, even in the digital world.
But even with the language barrier, some people are making genuine connections on Xiaohongshu.
Yeah, they're learning basic Mandarin, figuring out how to navigate the platform.
It's like they're on a digital exchange program.
They're getting a firsthand look at a different culture, a different way of using the internet.
It's pretty cool, actually. It's like an unexpected opportunity for cross-cultural exchange.
It is. It shows how social media can bridge divides, even when there are language and cultural barriers.
Okay, but let's be real. It hasn't all been smooth sailing.
Right. There have been some bumps along the way.
The issue of censorship has been a big one.
Yeah. American users are used to a more open online environment.
And they're running headfirst into the Great Firewall of China.
It's a reality check for sure.
Like, you can't just post whatever you want on Xiaohongshu.
There are rules, there are limits.
And some people are finding that out the hard way.
I saw one post where someone was basically trying to see how far they could push the boundaries.
Yeah.
Blocked, account suspended. It was like watching a digital train wreck in slow motion.
It just shows how differently online content is regulated in different parts of the world.
It does. It raises some important questions about freedom of speech, censorship, and the role of tech companies in all of this.
Yeah, it's a complex issue for sure.
It is, and there are no easy answers.
So as we continue to explore this whole TikTok saga and the ripple effects it's creating,
it's clear that this is a story that's still being written.
it is. There are so many twists and turns, and we don't even know what the next chapter holds.
But one thing's for sure, this is a story that highlights the intersection of technology, politics, culture, and human connection.
And it's a story that's impacting millions of people around the world.
It is, and it's a story that's worth paying attention to.
All right, so we're back, and we're still kind of lost in the wilds of Xiaohongshu.
Yeah, it's a different world over there, that's for sure.
Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, but it's like a whole new set of rules, a whole new language.
It's definitely a culture shock for a lot of American users.
Yeah, like imagine trying to learn a new dance, but the instructions are in a language you don't understand.
And the music is completely different too.
Exactly. And everyone else seems to know the steps perfectly.
It can be intimidating.
It is. But also kind of exciting, you know? Like you're forced to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's a chance to learn something new, experience something different.
Okay, so we talked about the language barrier before.
Right, which has been a source of both frustration and hilarity.
Oh, yeah. The translation app fails are legendary at this point.
I saw one where someone was trying to say happy birthday,
Uh,
and it translated to may you live to be 1,000 years old and turn into a wise turtle.
oh my God, that's amazing.
Right. Like, what kind of birthday wish is that?
But it's those kind of moments that make this whole cultural exchange so fascinating.
It does. It shows how much gets lost in translation, literally.
And it makes you realize that, like, humor doesn't always translate across cultures.
Yeah, what's funny in one culture might be totally nonsensical in another.
But then you see these moments where people are actually connecting despite the language barrier.
Yeah, they're using emojis, they're finding creative ways to communicate.
It's like they're inventing a new kind of digital Esperanto.
And it's kind of heartwarming to see, like, people from different backgrounds finding common ground.
It is. It shows that even with all the differences, there's still a shared humanity.
Right. We all laugh, we all cry, we all love cat videos.
Okay, but we also have to acknowledge that not everything has been like sunshine and rainbows,
Right. There have been some clashes, some tensions.
especially when it comes to the whole censorship thing.
Yeah, American users are used to a much more open internet.
And they're running smack into the reality of Chinese internet regulations.
It's like going from a playground with no fences to one with barbed wire and security guards.
Exactly. And some people are, like, testing the limits.
They're curious. They want to see what happens.
I saw one post where someone was basically like, I'm going to post a picture of the Dalai Lama and see what happens.
Oh, wow. That's bold.
It was. And guess what?
What happened?
Blocked. Account suspended. It was like watching a digital self-destruction.
It's a reminder that the internet is not a free-for-all, at least not everywhere.
Right. Different countries have different rules, different values.
And those differences can have real consequences for how we use the internet.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the TikTok ban, the rise of Jiahangshu, this whole wild ride of cultural exchange.
I think it's safe to say we've learned a few things.
Yeah, like the internet is a complex and ever-changing landscape.
It is. It's a reflection of the world we live in, with all its beauty and its messiness.
And navigating that landscape requires, like, a sense of adventure, a willingness to learn, and a good dose of humor.
Absolutely. You got to be prepared for the unexpected, the confusing, and the downright hilarious.
And most importantly, you got to remember that even though the internet can feel vast and impersonal, it's ultimately about people.
It is. It's about connecting with others, sharing experiences, and making sense of the world together.
So yeah, it's been a wild ride, this deep dive into the world of TikTok and beyond.
It has, but it's been an insightful one.
It's made us think about the power of social media, the challenges of cross-cultural communication, and the importance of staying curious and open-minded in this ever-evolving digital age.
We've laughed, we've learned, we've maybe even shed a tear or two for the potential loss of our favorite dance challenges.
But one thing's for sure, the internet is never boring.
It's not, and we can't wait to see what the future holds.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of the internet, folks.